onshore does not mean we are done with the storm. So what does that mean? We're going to go through tonight, we're going to go through tomorrow all day, and then possibly even into Monday and even into early Tuesday. That's a long duration. Where those rain bands exactly set up is the whole key to who deals with the major flooding, or at least flash flooding. And we'll find out where that is going to be. But certainly the best chances of that, Dr. Greg Postel, are going to be east of the center, because this thing is so lopsided.
Yeah, that's the case, and it is raining very hard right now along and east of where the sort of center of low pressure of Hurricane Barry is. Here's a close-up view of your area in and around New Orleans and Mandeville, for example, on the northern edge of Lake Pontchartrain. As you mentioned, the rains are increasing in that area, and that southeast wind continues, and that will continue all day. And the conditions are only going to get worse as the wind increases a little bit and the rain increases a lot. That is what is to look forward to going through the afternoon hours and overnight tonight. This whole area is going to get a lot more rain than is showing right now on the radar. I can tell you that much right now. And Jim, you mentioned the lopsidedness. Look all the way over here across parts of Mississippi and Alabama. A basically stationary band of rain continues to feed in. Has several inches of rain already fallen since midnight. Several more to come, and flooding a real issue there. Jim.
So, Postel, I have to ask you as a meteorologist, and a doggone good one, have you ever seen the kind of shear over a non-developed system, as all this shear was going on, but also seen the system strengthen? Isn't that kind of amazing to you?
Yeah, I mean, some shear is not necessarily harmful to the development of a tropical cyclone. I mean, in some cases...
But cutting right across the center. I mean, cutting across of it.
Well, think about it this way. What it did was maybe prevent it from becoming a hurricane pretty quickly, right? Because, I mean, there were aspects of... Right, there were aspects of Barry that were loaded up and maybe ready to go. I mean, there was some pretty interesting dynamics ongoing underneath some of the clouds that we saw that looked kind of asymmetric and weird because of that wind shear. But had that wind shear not been there, and the dry air that was accompanying that wind aloft, I might add that there was some very low relative humidities above about 20,000 feet, which kind of eroded the northern side of the circulation from cloud and rain. And we're still dealing with that now, thankfully, in some way.
Right.
But that really, just that right amount of wind shear with that dry air brought that into the interior of Barry and never really allowed it to mature in the way some models suggested it might.
I just don't think people realize how lucky we are here, Greg, because you had Lake Pontchartrain, which is full. You had the Mississippi River that normally is at about 6 to 9 feet, all right, running at 16.5 feet when the surge component moved in yesterday. And here's New Orleans in a bowl. So to have a fully robust Category 1 hurricane, maybe even a 2, as the HWRF was suggesting a couple of days ago. I don't even want to think about, you know, what it would have been like here. It would have been a whole different story, certainly, in terms of evacuations. All right, is there anything you see, Greg, from some of the bands that are offshore coming north now that suggests, okay, you know what, maybe we'll get a little spin with these, water spout or maybe even a tornado? Anything like that showing up? I'm sorry, I left you with 10 seconds.
Not right now, but that's always a possibility across parts of Mississippi and Alabama with that rain band that is not moving and continues the flooding threat in that part of the northern Gulf Coast. We'll be right back with much more on Hurricane Barry.
This summer, keep your foot down and the volume up with best-in-class fuel economy and the most technologically advanced vehicle in its class, all in the Dodge Durango, America's fastest, most capable three-row SUV. Get yours at the Dodge Summer Clearance Event.
This is Hal. This is Hal's heart. It's been broken and put back together. This is also Hal's heart. And this is Hal's relief, knowing he's covered. This is Hal's heart, and it's beating better than ever. This is what Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield does for Hal. And with easy access to quality health care, imagine what we can do for you. This is the benefit of Blue.
The
Home Depot's making it easy to turn your favorite moment into the perfect color to transform your room with the Project Color app. Explore the most popular colors and trending palettes to find yours. Get a colorful new experience with the Project Color app. Then get everything you'll need at your destination for the best brands. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
Is this our new car? It's a new Buick Envision. And I got it with Wi-Fi for all of your Wi-Fi stuff. Wireless charging for your phone. Cool. Wait till you check out the back. It's a lot of groceries. Look at my strong man.
Don't patronize me.
The new Buick Envision. It's full of surprises. Current eligible GM owners get up to 16% below MSRP on most of these 2019 Buick models. That's just over $7,000 on this Envision Premium.
Today's Best Western. What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Hey, Chuck Woolery here with a bit of a confession. I have a new favorite emu oil. Forget the imitators. There's only one blue emu.
It's a fact. Mediacom outperformed DSL in FCC internet speed tests. Faster uploads, faster downloads, more speed for all your devices. Mediacom over-delivered on advertised speeds 130%, delivering superior streaming, gaming, and everything else, while DSL underperformed. Faster speeds, faster than advertised. Mediacom Internet.
Today through Saturday, the giant used car elimination event is happening at Vic Koenig Chevrolet. Used cars are just $29 down, with payments as low as $99 a month. We've sold a record number of new cars, and now we're overstocked with over 100 clean, late-model trade-ins. Right now, $29 down buys a used car, truck, sport utility, or minivan. GMCs, Nissans, Ford, Chevys, you name it, it's here. $29 down, and payments start at just $99 a month. Rush now to the giant used car elimination event only at Vic Koenig Chevy. Now through Saturday only.
Sample pack.
Call 1-800-745-1930. That's 1-800-745-1930.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat. We are live on the ground.
Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 83 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, partly cloudy, high 92, winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, generally clear skies, low 70, winds south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, except for a few afternoon clouds, mainly sunny, high 89, winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
In our continuing coverage of Hurricane Barry, last advisory from the Hurricane Center, up the winds to 75 miles per hour. So now we have a minimal hurricane, a Category 1 hurricane. Not much difference in terms of the outcome going on here, but we have not yet gotten into the worst of this, I promise you, in the state of Louisiana. Let's check out Plaquemines Parish. This is obviously an earthen levee. This is seeing water rush over the top of that levee. A not good thing. This is why they evacuated. All right. This was taken by Billy Nungesser. If you remember me talking to him yesterday morning, he was very concerned about this levee. Think about it. Okay. He was talking a lot about how literally for months now we have had so much water with logs and whatnot coming down past this levee. It's just been pounding on it and beating it. Now you've got essentially the storm surge component and the high river as it is overtopping that levee. So it looks like there's a little bit of an escape route for that money, but I don't know how deep that is in terms of other areas of real estate into Plaquemines Parish. Lieutenant Governor Billy Nungesser, by the way, taking these pictures and video for us and sending it to us. Thank you, Billy. We appreciate you, buddy. All right, so Port Fourchon, Louisiana, looking again at some type of ship. all right, just off a ship here. Don't know if this is something they use near the oil rigs or whatnot, but they're a little higher up, and you can get a good idea of how reduced the visibility is because of the heavy rain and the wind out and through this area. So it's rocking. Barry, again, even though it's disorganized and it looks just pathetic on satellite, it doesn't matter. It still has the rain bands with it. It still has a lot of the energy east and south of that center, which still has to come on shore. I mean, the center is still offshore. All right, so we're going to have to wait till that moves onshore. We'll probably see, I think, a better radar presentation tomorrow as the whole thing consolidates and tightens up. And, of course, then are the rain bands. Where are they going to be? Are they going to be over New Orleans? Are they going to be over Baton Rouge? Are they going to be over Jackson, Mississippi? I'm thinking all of us will get to share the wealth here. All right, let's find out how they were getting ready for it in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. And interestingly enough, August 2016, we had about 24 to 29 inches of rain in and around Baton Rouge. Just ridiculous from a storm that wanted to be, Justin. But again, I think the point to be made is some of the worst weather for Baton Rouge doesn't happen at landfall. It happens after whatever the storm is comes ashore.
Yeah, that's exactly right, and I think that's the big concern here. They were expecting to get some rain last night. We know that didn't happen. Now that the wind is really coming in, the rain is beginning to come in. Taking a look at the radar, there's that huge swath of rain that's making its way up here nice and slowly, like this storm has been doing the entire time. They're concerned here because of what happened in 2016. People remember that very vividly, what they lived through, wading through water, trying to get out of their homes, not having the time to prepare. And here we are with another storm that could dump maybe as much water, maybe as much rain. A big concern. Let's talk to Ed Smith, the fire chief for 16 years here in Baton Rouge. Chief, we got the wind right now, right? You're out by the airport where your station is. You're feeling it out there even more than we are downtown.
Correct.
But the rain is now coming in. This is what we've been preparing for. How is the city prepared?
We're getting prepared by joining forces. We get city police, fire, boats, all our boats and assets that we have available to us, and we developed a plan to sector off the city and disperse our equipment according to the needs. That way, if we get high water on one side, we have assets on the east or west side, and are developing those plans and are ready and poised to take care of the worst. And great. So far, it's been better than we anticipated, and that's what we continue to hope for.
Well, and you guys had a major sandbagging effort going on here. People could come and get sandbags at 11 different locations. I mean, this city learned a lot almost 3 years ago and has learned a lot over the years. You don't want to look at a flood like 2016 as a good thing, but did that kind of a flood, that much rain, and that little bit of time, 2 days, help you learn more about what to do? Do you think that helped this storm?
Definitely. We see it in citizens that are preparing better. They're taking care of the things that they need to take care of. And just like I heard right this morning before we left, I mean, we've dispersed more sand than we've ever dispersed. Mm-hmm. So people are doing it ahead of time. And, like I say, the event of having it happen to you in 16, we feel has caused people to look forward and go ahead and take care of the needs that they need to take care of.
Well, Chief, I know you've been cruising around town. I know police, we've seen police out all over the place. We've seen, city resources out. What are you seeing when you drive around the city?
Well, due to the light wind, we've had several trees that fell, and due to the moisture in the ground, most of those are, the roots get loose and they turn over. And other than that is light traffic. People are heeding to the advice of staying off the road. Being a Saturday and a weekend, we don't have a lot of the work traffic and school traffic. So the light traffic has been a positive for us as responders.
And Chief, we only have a couple more seconds. Is Baton Rouge ready for whatever Barry brings?
Yes, sir, we're ready.
All right, Chief Ed Smith, thank you so much for your time. Good to see you again, Chief.
Thank you.
Going to get through this storm. You heard the Chief say this city is ready for what Barry is going to bring. Now, Hurricane Barry, of course, is beginning to bear down here in Baton Rouge. Let's see how much rain actually comes, hopefully on the low end of the scale. We're back after this.
Lowe's knows you're the powerhouse who does it right, who knows the right tool has no equal. As a leader in outdoor power equipment, we do it right too, so you can show your yard who's boss. Now get a Craftsman string trimmer for $99. Do it right for less. Start with Lowe's.
I drive up, I bring people Dish. I love it. Why? Because what I bring makes people go, whoa. Over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. A voice remote that leaves them speechless. Live TV streamed instantly. And it's all getting us some pretty big awards, but my reward is that moment when I let them drive.
Wow. Ranked #1 in customer satisfaction. Dish, tuned in to you. Is that for me?
Quick! The Quicker Picker-Upper. Bounty picks up messes quicker and is 2 times more absorbent than the leading Ordinary brand. Bounty, the Quicker Picker-Upper.
Try Target same-day delivery. Deliver to your door so you can do more. More thrill. More skill. More chill. Target run and done.
People say if you have occasional constipation, you should know the location of a decent bathroom. My gut says take new Benefiber Healthy Balance. This daily supplement helps maintain digestive health naturally while relieving occasional constipation and abdominal discomfort. New Benefiber Healthy Balance.
This is 30 calories. This is 30 calories. This is not going to cut it. This will. V8. The V is for vegetables. Drink some.
Think all premium fuels are the same? New Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline is engineered with 4 levels of defense against gunk, wear, corrosion, and friction. That helps keep your engine running like new. So maybe it's time to unthink what you think about premium fuel. Shell V-Power Nitro Plus premium gasoline. It's fuel for thought.
So Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app, I've been quite vigilant.
Sharon says step on it, the meeting started.
Okay, write her back. Dear Sharon, don't mess with my discount.
Faster, Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I do too, honey, but we're gonna hold it for Mommy's discount. Easy, easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount!
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
We've already seen those winds gusting over 50 miles an hour.
The bad weather, the heavy rain, and the wind spread far and wide.
All right, guys, looking again at video, a lot of this has come in within the last hour or two of now it is Hurricane Barry. Yeah, if you're just joining us this morning, this afternoon, of course, depending on where you are, we are dealing with a hurricane. Winds have been found by the Hurricane Center to be up to 75 miles per hour now with this. Let's take you down, though, and show you some of the impacts because TS or hurricane, the issues are going to be the same. I promise. I've done enough of these. Let's take a look at Lafourche in Parrish here. This is interesting, certainly, as we take you down and through here because we've had wind push water over Highway 1. So you know what this means? If you're trying to head in and out of Grand Island, you're not. That's the only way in. It's the only way out. So, you know, they're well aware of this. This has certainly happened before. And we had a great interview earlier with the police department down there saying, you know, things certainly have a chance of just kind of staying that way for a while, given the persistent wind. Let's take you to Mandeville, though. This is where Charles Peak went up to. All right, so now look at this. So the water was high enough that it was kind of splashing over the seawall. Now the waves and the water are high enough where the waves are just kind of running through and over the top of the seawall. So it's gotten a lot higher, is the point. And this is where Charles Peak is. And let's talk to him about what he's seen. So, Charles, again, because I've seen your pictures earlier when you got here, it almost looks like the water is higher than, let's say, 20 minutes ago when I talked to you last. Confirm or deny?
Yeah, Jim, it has. We had a pretty good squall line. I think the one that you had just a little while ago came over here across the lake and caused the wave action to pick up quite a bit. And so it's crashing more so here along Lakeshore Drive and the marina area here. Again, I'm back out on the Lakeshore Drive right now, so I'm not sure where I was earlier, if it's pushing back up yet.
So, Charles, normally, and I don't know if you've been here before, so this may not be a fair question, you could walk out there to the seawall, right? And there may be, like on the south side of the lake we had yesterday, the steps that go down a ways. Is that the same case there, or do you know that or not?
You know, I'm not sure, but from what I
don't know.
Yeah, from what I understand, that's the case here. But I've never been here before myself, so I can't answer it for sure. But you've got in front of me here, what these waves are crashing is actually Lakeshore Drive. So that's normally a road there you would be driving down. And obviously right now it's not a road.
And interesting, guys, this looks very familiar to what we had yesterday, although the water was not as high. And because it was lower, it was actually crashing into and then spraying up on the seawall. Charles was there when we were doing that. And now you've got water that's risen so high on the northern side of Lake Pontchartrain, which is where he is in Mandeville. Because of the south wind, now the water has gone in that direction. If you were watching Reynolds Wolf a couple of hours ago with us, he was in the same place we were yesterday, and it was docile. The water was down. There was no waves virtually at all. And that is simply due to the change in wind direction. All right, Pete, before I let you go, still looking at a situation where we don't have water in homes, right?
Correct. Talking to local police at this point in time, they are concerned that high tide will be about 9 p.m. tonight, and so they're concerned when high tide and also the additional rainfall that could be concerned getting into homes if the water continues to rise.
All right, so again, to point to our talk this earlier, the worst of this may be after landfall for a lot of areas, especially in Louisiana and Mississippi. Charles Peak, I thank you, buddy. Happy birthday, by the way, Charles. I know you're out working on your birthday today, so we appreciate that. We'll talk to you later, buddy, because we're actually seeing a little bit of rise there in the water. All right, so earlier on, I was showing you pictures down in Lafourche Parish. We've got issues in Terrebonne Parish as well. Let's find out how they're doing. Colonel Terry Vague is with us on the phone, I believe, and let's talk a little bit to him about what's happening in Terrebonne Parish. Colonel, thanks for talking to us. What's the latest?
Jim, we're still experiencing some pretty heavy winds. They're still coming out of the south, which, we'd prefer it to turn to the north eventually when the storm gets up from us. We are dealing with a tidal surge south of our Morganza to the Gulf Levee project, but it appears that our levee and our storm, our lock system has worked. It's held it back so that we've got no flooding or no surge north of that levee system.
Yeah, so I'm trying to think of Terrebonne and how it's situated with levees. Is it a combination of earthen and cement? Just earthen, just cement? Remind me.
Yes, it's earth and cement, and then we have the lock systems that close off the actual waterways that come into the parish.
Close it off, yep. All right, so far so good out of Terrebonne.
On the north end of that levee project. Now, below it, we do have some flooding. It is actually still too deep for us to drive down and kind of evaluate exactly how much we have.
Did you get people that were under the evacuation or voluntarily evac? Are you pleased with how that went, or are there potentially folks down there now in that water?
We had a few evacuate, Jim, but we actually had an issue during the early morning hours this morning before daybreak on Island Road out of Pointe-à-Chantre. Some people south of the levee that were supposed to evacuate, they ignored that evacuation. Things got real bad. The water came up real high, and they had to call us for a rescue. Unfortunately, by the time they called, the weather conditions were so bad and the water levels were so high, we didn't have the equipment to get to them. We had to call in the Coast Guard. The Coast Guard had to rescue them by helicopter.
Okay, so they have been rescued at this point, and they're safe. They're on dry ground, if you will.
That's correct. They have been rescued, Jim.
All right, Colonel, thanks for talking to us this morning. Colonel Terry Vague, again, out of Terrebonne Parish. Keep us posted, sir, because you're kind of in one of those situations where, again, where the earthen levees are, we've had overwash. Now you're in that area is underwater, as we expected. Okay, as we expect in a lot of these areas. You saw the pictures out of Plaquemines from Billy Nungesser that he shared with us, where we're actually seeing the levee overtopped. And the fact is that levee's had a lot of water pressure on it over the past several months because there's been so much water going down the Mississippi River. All right, speaking of water going down the Mississippi River, Justin, I'm sure you have this. That's why I'm going to ask you and lead with you with this. How many days in Baton Rouge have we been not just at flood stage, but at major flood stage? And how long do they expect the water to stay high? Because we're still dealing with water coming down the Mississippi.
That's right. That's right. More than 100 days, major flood stage. And we were talking with people yesterday, Jim. They're saying they're not expecting it to dip below major flood stage, regardless of what the hydrograph says on the National Weather Service forecasting for it. They're saying through the end of August as the earliest before it dips below major flood stage. It's just unprecedented. It's really something that is causing a lot of trouble here. And though the flooding on the Mississippi is not going to overtake the levee here, that's not the concern. But the flooding on the Mississippi is a major concern for a couple different reasons. Chief among them, the rain that's falling today and the rain that's going to fall the rest of this day and into tomorrow. They maybe 12 to 18 inches of rain that's going to fall over the next 24 hours. It's going to drain more slowly into the tributaries that eventually will lead out into the Mississippi because all the drainage points are underwater right now. So it's not like it's going to drain off of a cliff and into the water. Right now, those drainage points are under the water, so they're going to have to push out into flowing water, if you can imagine that. That's the biggest problem right now. So are we going to have a repeat of 2016? August of 2016, they had about 26 inches of rain over the course of 48 hours. Let's certainly hope not, because that was a really devastating couple days there for this city. And it was just earlier this year, they had somebody die in their car because of flash flooding. So the people are heeding the warnings. If there is some kind of a silver lining coming from 2016 and coming from the flooding earlier this year, it's the fact that people have those memories fresh in their minds. They know they don't want to have to deal with what they dealt with back then. They know they don't want to find themselves stuck on the road when the water starts to come up around their car. All right? If there is any kind of a silver lining coming from the past, it's that. People's memories are fresh, and they're still a little shell-shocked, or is the description we're getting from a lot of people about how they feel about what could come from now Hurricane Barry. So, Jim, I'll tell you what, we've got the wind coming in now. We're clocking 39-mile-an-hour gusts out at the airport, sustained in the mid to upper 20s. We even had a gust earlier today, Jim, at Tiger Stadium over at LSU of 60 miles per hour. So the wind is coming, the rain is really building, and we know that this is going to be probably a long next 24 hours here in Baton Rouge. Jim, into you. Or Jim, back to you.
You're absolutely right. Hey, so, Justin, when I talk to you next time, I want to talk about the Morganza spillway. It's been a big discussion of controversy. They've had to open it twice so far. Is there talk of that again, potentially, because of what might happen with Barry? So I'll let you talk about that next time, but just something to get in your head, buddy. I appreciate it. Great report as always, Justin Michaels. All right, I want to bring in Dr. Greg Postel to see what he's seeing. Postel, I want to talk about the satellite presentation on IR, which, you know, we see all these deep purples. You know, we know that certainly is usually located somewhat nearby with very heavy rain. Over the last hour or so, some of that has collapsed. Is there any regeneration, or do you see that as a continuing trend on the IR presentation?
Probably more of a trend, maybe a steady state, maybe a slow warming of some of the cloud tops, meaning some of the thunderstorms not as strong as they were, say, 12 or 24 hours ago. But overall, there's the animation. I'm glad you brought that up because I had that keyed. I thought maybe I'd ask that question. But there you go. There's some of those brighter cloud tops shown on this infrared shot, meaning that's where all the biggest rain and biggest thunderstorm activity is. Still, for the most part, offshore, Jim, and I think that needs to also be balanced with the fact of what's going on in Mississippi and Alabama on the edge of that bulk of thunderstorm activity over the water south of Louisiana, because it's out here 250 miles away from the center, Jim, where we're seeing continually heavy rain driving out of the Gulf of Mexico into the northern Gulf Coast. Several inches of rain already been reported in many locations. Back to you, Jim.
The other reason I asked you that too, Greg, is because even though we may have lost some of the higher cloud tops or the deeper convection, if you will, we don't need to be up around 40, 50,000 feet with some of this stuff to produce 2 to 3 inches an hour, do we? So even though we may see that coming down, that still doesn't mean we're out of the woods for heavy rain, does it?
No, and you brought up a great point, and I'll show you. Let me put it to you this way. The heaviest rain right now that is coming onshore into the northern Gulf Coast is right out in that zone where the clouds on this infrared shot don't look like the most intense ones, right? We've got the colors of yellow and green there. You might think, well, the weather's not that bad over on this side of the circulation. Well, in fact, right in here is where the heaviest rain is. So just because the cloud tops are warming, get to your original point, just because it looks maybe less impressive on the satellite pictures doesn't mean the rainfall rates have dramatically come down. In fact, in many cases, they are only increasing.
How far out, Greg, does the rain, and you may just have to measure this by using the IR satellite again, because we don't have radar presentation out past 248 nautical miles, but how far out does that deep convection go? Is all that I see off the Texas coast even going to rotate up into Louisiana? Is that coming north too?
Well, you're wondering if this batch right out in here is going to make it onshore. Probably not in its present form, but what you see in the Gulf of Mexico in some version or another is going to move inland. The whole thing is coming on board, maybe in bits and pieces, but during the next 48 hours, we're going to see all of that mess eventually push inland and carry all the bad weather with it. It's coming. There's no way around it.
Because of this delay in landfall, Greg, and I haven't got a chance to look at this yet this morning, was there any change to WPC, Weather Prediction Center's flood guidance? In other words, we know that New Orleans is under a high likelihood, a very likelihood area of flash flooding today. Have they upped that for tonight and tomorrow in some of these areas?
Well, I haven't seen that update yet.
Or are we still at moderate?
No, I haven't seen that update yet, but I'm going to extend this forecast just a little bit because it doesn't end today or tomorrow. Going into early next week, flash flooding is likely in the Tennessee Valley, all the way across parts of northern Mississippi, Arkansas, southern Missouri, and western Tennessee. As I said, that whole thing is coming on board. Yeah, it will sort of gradually evolve and maybe even devolve, weaken a little bit as it does. But the rain goes way inland with this system, and a lot of it as it's carrying all that Gulf moisture in tow. Jim.
Rise up. Posty, always appreciate you, buddy. Great insight as always. I'm willing to bet for all of you watching out there, looking for this beautiful little circulation center, that it'll show up tomorrow. All right, let's find out what's happening here, get some of the latest information. Liana Brackett back in the Weather Channel studios with an update. Liana, hello.
All right. Hey, Jen, thanks so much. Well, we want to update you with what we know this hour. Barry, now a Category 1 hurricane with maximum sustained winds of 75 miles per hour. The U.S. Coast Guard had to rescue 12 people in Terrebonne Parish, where waters are rising. Power outages are mounting in Louisiana. Right now, more than 77,000 customers are without power across the state, and at least 10 airlines have canceled flights for today, either flying to or from New Orleans International Airport. All right, Jim, take it away.
Yeah, as a matter of fact, we had some folks coming down Bourbon Street just a while ago that said, oh my gosh, Jim, we're bummed out because we couldn't make our flight today. And I said, you picked a heck of a place to be bummed out at, especially here in New Orleans. Again, guys, our heaviest rain comes in here tonight, probably through tomorrow as well. We have a good chance of showers, maybe even some thunderstorms as this center comes ashore. And it brings with it all of that rain, all of that red that you showed, Dr. Greg Postel showed on the infrared satellite. Our Barry coverage continues.
I can't believe it. That I won the Best of sweepstakes and I get to be in this Geico commercial?
Let's do the eyebrows first. Just tease it a little. Slather it all over. Go no back.
Well, the squirrels followed me all the way out to California, and there's a very strange badger staring at me.
No, I can't believe how easy it was to save hundreds of dollars on my car insurance with Geico.
Uh-huh. Where's the camel?
Mr. Big Shot's got his own trailer.
Roll out, rush in, drop back, defend on.
Believe it. Geico could save you 15% or more on your car insurance.
As a bride-to-be, this is one of the most important days of my life, and you know who wasn't invited? Mosquitoes. That's why we've always had Orkin. Carl's so good. It's like he's never really left.
Ladies, I've got lavender and coconut.
Isn't he the cutest?
All good here. Yeah! Oh, sorry.
Movie.
Yeah. Right. It's a Venus flytrap.
Oh.
Yeah. Beautiful.
Fruit Loops, a delicious part of this complete breakfast.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and I wish I could tell you how I feel about a morning like this. And that includes a good hearty breakfast. You need something to kind of warm the whole body up and get it going. It's a great way to kick off your day.
This has potassium. The same amount as this. It's a post-workout snack you don't have to peel. V8. The V is for vegetables. Drink some.
Teeth sensitivity is so common. Drinking or sipping the hot and cold water, it feels like, somebody's...
Wildly adhesive Seabond seals give denture wearers 75% stronger all-day hold. No reapplying before meals. Seabond, wildly adhesive.
Try Canada Dry ginger ale and lemonade. Are you ready to taste Nirvana?
Sir, you cannot be in the fountain.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the wonderful sounds of nature. Try Canada Dry ginger ale and lemonade. Now in diet.
You look great.
You look great too.
I just started using Carousel like a week ago. Me too.
Only Carousel starts improving the appearance of fungus-damaged toenails in just 1 week.
That's why we look so good.
Only 1 week. Only Carousel.
Here's a great way to save money on your prescription medications. If you take Viagra or Cialis, call Pharmacy Shop 24/7 to get generic versions of Viagra or Cialis for as little as $2 a pill, plus free discreet shipping.
FLEX to 321321. That's FLEX to 321321. Do it now.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground.
Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 83 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, a mix of clouds and sun. High 91. Winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear. Low 70. Winds south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, partly cloudy. High 88. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
All right, guys, again, just to give you an update now, what is Hurricane Barry out there, still offshore. All right, we have not had a landfall yet of Barry. And if you remember, even 24 to 30 hours ago, this thing was supposed to be on shore now, but it's not. It's got multiple centers kind of rotating around one main one, so it's kind of complicated. It never really developed an inner core, but it's still a very wet system that is what we call asymmetrical or loaded on the east side and the south side. So as the center comes ashore, whether it be tonight or later on this afternoon, we are going to get all that rain moving to the north. In the meantime, we've got a south wind on the east side of this. So that's brought the water up in places like New Iberia, in Grand Island. It's brought it up all the way east to Mobile Bay. There's a bit of a storm surge. And on Lake Pontchartrain, with today's wind being from south to north, if you're on the north side of the lake, which is St. Tammany Parish, you're dealing with a water rise there today, and as you can see, wave action. This is Lakeshore Drive, or if you will, now Lakeshore River, because it's underwater. All right, let's bring in Pat Brister. She is the president of St. Tammany Parish. Pat, thanks for talking to us. We appreciate that. You had a pretty good idea that once the winds changed out of the south, that you would be dealing with overwash as a result of this storm, right?
Yes, we were aware of that. We've had this in the past. It also blows so much water into the lake that our rivers can't drain into the lake. We're a gravity drainage system, and we need that drainage to keep our neighborhoods dry.
So here we're looking at pictures right now of the water that's coming over Lake Shore. It's coming over the seawall there. Does this threaten homes in the area? Do you expect it to get much higher?
Where you're looking at is in the Mandeville area, and it may get about a little higher. There's another area which is north of there that is affected more by the rivers that flow into that lake that you're looking at. So we're looking at some possible flooding in homes throughout the entire parish.
So if the water can't get out of the lake, or if you will, if it's being pushed on the northern side of the lake, that tends to hold the rivers back that come into the lake? Is that what you're saying?
That's correct. That's our drainage system.
Okay.
Our waters drain into the lake, and when they can't drain, they back into our neighborhoods and roads and streets. So we had this in 2016 in March. We had over 700 structures that were flooded.
Oh, wow. All right,
Yeah,
so what about additional rainfall? We know that's coming. Yeah, we know that's coming tonight and tomorrow. What is, let's say, 6 to 10 inches of water with the same wind that you've got going to do to this situation?
Well, it adds a couple more feet to our level, our river levels, first of all. But more importantly, as you see, the storm is going north. So all the water that's being dumped up north drains toward the lake through our rivers. So it won't be just tomorrow's rain. It'll be whatever happens above us, too. When that rain hits those rivers, it will come down to us. So we're looking at this for a longer period of time.
You think you've seen enough water so far this spring and summer, Pat?
Yes, I do. But we're ready to do whatever we need to do and evacuate if necessary.
Yeah, I was going to ask you, what is your advice right now for the residents of your parish?
We do not have a mandatory evacuation, but we're urging people that specific areas that they've been through this before. If they're not comfortable staying in their home for 3 days and not being able to get out because of water in the street, then they need to evacuate today, this morning. If they're comfortable sheltering in place, that's fine. We're here to help in any way we can, but they've been through it before. So we're just reminding them of what it was like in March of 2016.
All right, well, Pat, thank you very much for talking to us, certainly about this. This is an important situation. It's one we have to keep an eye on. Again, guys, another case in point where a lot of the impacts will be after the storm comes ashore. All right, and Pat certainly gave us an idea of that, and we need to check back with her, actually, in St. Tammany Parish. Again, that was the northern side of Lake Pontchartrain up in the Mandeville area. All right, so Justin Michaels, before I left you last, we talked about the Morganza, the fact that it's been open, again, a couple of times already this year. Any chances that may happen again or have to happen? It's a very controversial issue.
The simple answer is no. Yeah, it's very controversial. A lot of politics involved in it. The simple answer is no, they're not planning to open it. It takes 3 to 4 days to open it, so it'll be open by the time this thing is long since gone. But more importantly than that, Jim, it's very political, only because do you sacrifice one community at the expense of another? And that is a give and take that you have to play here. When they do open it, it can release 600,000 gallons per second of water. Okay, it can do that. But by doing that, you could be flooding other communities at the expense of New Orleans and other larger places. So again, it's not an easy answer, but the simple answer I can give you right now is no, they are not planning to open it according to the state of Louisiana.
Michaels, I appreciate that.
Right,
just
so
a well thought out answer. But again, talking about the issues with the Morganza, and again, it is a last resort. They don't want to ever open it if they don't have to, but you have to relieve the water that's coming down, or you flood the city and you flood other areas. But it is at the expense of farmland and also seafood. And maybe we'll talk about that. The dead zone.
Well, yeah,
Does the mixing of the water actually help that? Stick around.
Feed your imagination. Feed your excitement. Feed your hunger. When heroes get hungry, they get the $12 extra large superhero pizza at Papa John's.
So Kim, you going for a big Drive Safe and Save discount?
Yep, using the app. I've been quite vigilant.
Sharon says step on it, the meeting started.
Okay, write her back. Dear Sharon, don't mess with my discount.
Faster, Mommy, I gotta go to the bathroom.
I do too, honey, but we're gonna hold it for Mommy's discount. Easy, easy.
But you're in labor.
Don't mess with my discount!
Get a discount up to 30% with Drive Safe and Save from State Farm.
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure, and most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Allergies make me miserable. It's hard to breathe and sleeping's awful. My doctor told me about Navage for allergy relief without drugs.
Navage relieves congestion fast by pulling saline in one nostril and out the other. Navage flushes out allergens, pollen, mucus, and germs.
I can breathe again and I sleep better. Navage is like nature's decongestant.
Find out for yourself and stop suffering. Try Navage for 90 days with zero risk when you buy online at Navage.com.
Anna, did you make 2 identical purchases of $104 at Cotton Cloth?
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
If you live with diabetes, why fingerstick when you can scan? With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, just scan the sensor with your reader, iPhone, or Android and manage your diabetes. With the Freestyle Libre 14-day system, a continuous glucose monitor, you can check your glucose levels anytime without fingersticks. Ask your doctor to write a prescription for the Freestyle Libre 14-day system. You can do it without fingersticks. Learn more at freestylelibre.us. Today's Best Western? What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
The Home Depot's making finding your color easier than ever. Whatever inspires you, discover the perfect color with popular palettes online. Get free delivery on samples and convenient new paint selection tools in store. Get a colorful new experience and everything you'll need, like gallons of Behr Premium Plus from $24.98. The Home Depot. More saving, more doing.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I am a country girl, so that's what we do. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for. People may not remember what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. My name is Lola, and I am proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The Triple Promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
Again, guys, we've got Hurricane Barry now, 75 miles per hour. That is a minimal Category 1 hurricane, up from the 70 from just a couple of hours ago. Still watching it crawl ashore. We should actually have a new update coming up in about 30 minutes as to where it is. All right, probably somewhere between 25 and 30 miles per hour. But look at this. Again, this is out of Bay St. Louis in Mississippi. Nowhere near the center, but they are east of this asymmetric or lopsided center, and that wind is pushing all that water up against the seawall and in some cases over the top of it. All right, same thing we find in southeast Louisiana. We know that Highway 1 down there to Grand Island is closed because of the water there that's down in Lafourche Parish. Plenty of water there. We've also got water going on at the top of the levee in Plaquemines Parish. Now, a lot of these areas were evacuated because these are earthen levees. They aren't protected by the levee system that does protect New Orleans. So this is just trying to hold back the water from coming in from the Gulf of Mexico. And of course, at the same time, remember, you got water that's coming out from the very high Mississippi River. And And that was the big concern a couple of days ago when the forecast here in New Orleans was 20 feet. That forecast has since gone down. All right. What if somebody had a special love for meteorology and they just happen to find themselves and their family in the right place for Barry? That's my buddy Ryan Rhodes here, who's from Houston.
Yes, sir.
He's got 20 storms that he's covered, but he's always had a love for tropical meteorology. And you were in Harvey, though. I want to talk about that.
Yes.
You and your family were dealing with Harvey. Tell us about that.
Well, we live in Friendswood, Texas, just south of Houston. We had about 44 to 46 inches of rain in the Friendswood area, and we were constantly being bombarded with storm after storm. So we had 2 different rounds during Harvey. We had one Saturday night,
right? Yes, I remember.
And then 2 days later, It hit again on a Tuesday. And we were not affected directly in our area of the woods, but a lot of our friends and family in the surrounding area was.
What did you think about that? Because you have such a special interest in tropical meteorology. I mean, you know as well as I do, when something comes in and stalls or is moving slow, you saw what Allison did.
Yeah.
These prolific rainfall events,
Yeah.
but 60 inches of rain.
Yeah, it's crazy. What's funny about that Saturday night, there was a really big boxing match on. And I had spent like $100 on a pay-per-view to watch the boxing match. Well, then I saw some rain bands coming in, and you know how they train up in the same area, and I knew it was right over Friendswood. I didn't watch 1 second of the boxing match. I just had it glued to you guys actually on the Weather Channel watching the bands come in, and that's when I knew we were in trouble. So.
But how is that like to be, all of a sudden I'm looking at the weather, I'm following it, I'm forecasting it, and now all of a sudden, you know what, my family's here, do I have to do something with it? It's kind of a different mode, isn't it?
It gets scary. It gets scary. There's a couple of times where, you're debating whether or not you need to start moving things up, off the ground, and I was walking to the back of our neighborhood, there's a creek over there, and I saw some of those houses get literally an inch from water.
Wow.
And so you don't even want to drive your car because if your car's puts up a wake, you're pushing water into other people's houses. So,
that's true. And we see that all the time here on Bourbon Street.
Yes.
And we saw it Wednesday when we had the big. Were you guys here during that?
We were not here yet, but I saw the video.
You saw the video of that, and that's really the concern here, isn't it?
And it went down pretty quick that day.
Well, yeah. Once the rain stops, then the pumps can really crank out and get the water out of here.
Absolutely.
But the problem is do we get that rainfall rate over the next couple of days? Let's hope not.
Yeah, let's hope that convection doesn't sweep around to the east side.
So, vacation for you? You guys are just going to kind of ride this thing out, or?
We're trying to leave tomorrow. We had a family vacation scheduled for Gulf Shores, so we're going to see if that still pans out. But right now, that's the plan.
Could be a little ugly because we're going to have all this stuff come on shore.
Yeah.
Good luck with you, brother. Thanks for talking to us. Okay, nice to meet you as well, and your lovely family out here, kind of trouncing through the rain. But you know what? Think about it. We're all kind of big kids. Who doesn't like to jump in puddles? We just haven't had rain that heavy yet here to do that. Again, guys, if you're just joining us, we have Hurricane Barry. Just enough wind, if you will, measurements from the SFMR instrument on the Hurricane under aircraft to upgrade that to a hurricane. And it's kind of interesting when you look at that instrument. When they did reanalysis of Michael, they went back and they added the 5 miles per hour to get that from a 155 Cat 4 to 160 mile per hour Category 5. Now, this thing is going to be no Michael whatsoever. If you remember that, this was a system that had no shear, unlike Barry, which has had shear. And what's, I think, one of the more amazing things to me is even under shear, even under northerly shear, where a system's moving from south to north, this thing was allowed to go from a 40 to a 50 to a 70 to a now 75 mile per hour hurricane. So that just shows you the tenacity of Barry and wanting to keep on going. I had a buddy named Barry. He's not with us anymore, but that pretty much reminds me of him and his personality. Stick around, guys. Does this fresh water that's been a problem and created this big dead zone get mixed up enough by Barry so that it takes it out of the way? Dr. Tracy Finara will join us from the Mote Aquarium to talk about just that. Stick around.
This is Mia. This is Mia's pulse. With pressure rising and racing. This is also Mia's pulse that her doctor keeps in check, so she can find balance. This is Mia's pulse, and now it's more stable than ever. This is what Medicare from Blue Cross Blue Shield does for Mia. And with over 80 years of healthcare expertise, imagine what we can do for you. This is the benefit of Blue.
What will you do when the power goes out? Power outages are increasing and lasting longer than ever before. They can be unpredictable, inconvenient, and disruptive to your life. Your safety and security may be at risk. But with a Generac home standby generator, your life goes on uninterrupted because you'll have power when you need it the most. Generac home standby generators provide peace of mind for you and your loved ones.
You can't replace that sense of security that you get when you have a Generac.
Having a Generac is definitely peace of mind.
When the power goes out, I'm like, go ahead. I've got the Generac.
Get the safety, security, and peace of mind your family deserves with a home standby generator from Generac. Call to schedule a free in-home assessment and receive a free 7-year extended warranty with your purchase, a $695 value. Call or go online today. Power your life with Generac.
Honey, time to go.
Guess what?
What?
Coach said I get to play forward today.
Wow.
If I score a goal, I'm gonna go like this. Uh-huh. Oh, yeah. Uh-huh. Then I'm gonna do something like this. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. And oh, yeah. It's your turn to
bring this.
How many teammates do you have again?
Frito-Lay variety packs, packed with possibilities.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
You see me.
But if you saw me before Cosentyx,
I was covered. It was awful.
but I didn't give up. I kept fighting.
I got clear skin with Cosentyx.
3 years and counting. Clear skin can last.
See if Cosentyx could make a difference for you. Cosentyx is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting Cosentyx, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
See me now. I'm still clear.
How sexy are these elbows?
Get clear skin that can last. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentyx.
Good cast, buddy.
Thanks.
From laser-measured floor liners to Sunshade, the cup phone to secure your phone, to Tech Liner for your bed and tailgate, Bump Step.
Oh, can I hold it?
Yeah, good job,
To
bud.
no-drill mud flaps.
Wow, look at that.
WeatherTech has everything you need to keep your truck protected all year long. Order yours today at WeatherTech.com, the ultimate protection for your vehicle.
Thank you for staying with us live here on the Weather Channel as we continue to track now Hurricane Barry. A very low-grade Category 1, but a Category 1 nonetheless. It is dumping rain here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, and we have the winds as well. I'm Justin Michaels live for you in Baton Rouge right now, where about 8,000 customers are currently without power, and the rain has certainly begun to come down pretty heavy. What's to come? More rain. And that's the big concern. Will this rain go to the 8 to 12-inch range like they're expecting? Could it go more than that? Could we have something like we had back in 2016? Could we have enough flooding rain that it causes major trouble across the city? It was just earlier this year we had a fatality. Somebody died in their car because of flash flooding. This is a city that knows about flooding, and it's on everybody's mind as Barry comes ashore. Let's talk to Deputy Chief Johnny Dunham with the police department here in Baton Rouge. Chief, thanks for being with us.
Hey, thank you.
As you move around town this morning, the rain has started, the wind is here. What are you seeing around town?
Well, right now we're starting to see some down trees. We're starting to see some down limbs. We're also starting to see some streets starting to get a little high water. We've positioned some barricades at certain locations that we know flood. You spoke about the June 6th incident where we had a citizen that drove into some high water and ended up dying, drowning in that water. So those locations that we know where we get high water, some of the railroad underpasses and all, we've stationed barricades, and our officers will be deploying shortly to put those barricades out. We ask that the public please stay off the roads right now, allow for our emergency vehicles to get where they need to go. If they see the barricades up or they see high water, that they try not to drive through it. You know, the old adage, turn around, don't drown, is definitely needed today.
Chief, do you think because of the flooding in 2016 and even earlier this year, people are heeding the warnings more than before?
I do. I think we're prepared a little better after 2016. I think we got caught flat-footed in 2016. It was just a storm that hung over and dropped, 20 to 30 inches of rainfall on us and caused a vast amount of flooding. So I think the public is heeding the warning this time, and I think that they're prepared. We're prepared, and they're prepared a little better.
Now, got off to a little bit of a late start. The rain's not really kicking in until now.
Yeah.
We're originally thinking maybe last evening, overnight last night, and all of a sudden this morning people wake up and it was dry.
Right.
Does that give people a false sense of, hey, it's not going to happen?
Yeah, we don't want to see people get complacent. I think the storm took a little longer to get here than we expected, but now that it's here, we ask them to stay off the roads and to stay safe, stay hunkered down inside until we kind of get the all clear.
Baton Rouge Deputy Police Chief Johnny Dunham, we appreciate your time. Thank you for having us in your city. So, Jim, as we send it back to you in New Orleans, I'll tell you what, this is a city that certainly has all those very recent memories on their minds, and I guess that's a little bit of good news for people going into this storm to hopefully keep people safe. Jim, to you now.
Yeah, and hopefully Mother Nature will underachieve. I mean, we always hope that. People think, we want these things to be gigantic storms, Justin, but we don't. We love it when they underachieve, actually. All right, let's, a lot of times we talk about the land impacts, what's happening on shore, how much rain we're going to get, how much storm surge we're going to get. But, let's think about the situation that we've got going on right now in the Gulf of Mexico. We've had so much fresh water from the Midwestern floods flood out into the Gulf of Mexico. We've actually created what is known as a dead zone. But does Barry have enough in it to mix that out and actually help the Gulf of Mexico dead zone? Well, that's bringing my good friend, Inspector Planet, Dr. Tracy Fanara. She will have some answers for us. Dr. Fanara, let's talk about this. First of all, explain to our viewers what the dead zone is and how big it is this year.
Hi. So the dead zone they occur, hypoxia or lack of oxygen occurs all over the world. But this dead zone happens to be the second largest in the world because we have 38% of the United States runoff coming to one area. So when we have that fresh water coming into the Gulf of Mexico with all that nutrients from agriculture and wastewater overflows, all of that coming into the Gulf of Mexico, we have this freshwater layer, high nutrients, algae blooms form, and then when they decompose, that whole process uptakes oxygen even further, decreasing the oxygen to levels that native species cannot exist. So that's the situation that we have, and it's predicted to be as big as Massachusetts by August. However, storms like this can potentially mix that water, reoxygenating the area. However, those storms also bring more surface water. So we can probably see that hypoxic event reoccur even if we do get that mixing.
All right, so let's talk. I mean, what seafood, shellfish does this impact the most? I got about a minute.
So shellfish harvesters, anything that is taken from that area, you're not going to see many saltwater fish in that area from that hypoxic event. But again, likely we'll get some mixing and then it will be back to hypoxia soon. The one thing that might change is that estimated size of August. These kind of storms can change that estimation or approximation of the size of that hypoxic event.
All right, so Tracy, do me a favor, stick around. Let's talk about what may happen from this. Also, maybe bring up a couple of examples. Let's say Isaac, if that was an issue, or even Katrina, because people forget the second landfall, or not Katrina, but the second landfall of even Andrew back in '92 came up this way toward Louisiana. And I want to ask you what the actual result was. That you mentioned a little something about that, but I want to talk about that more. We'll do that right after the break. Our coverage of Barry continues.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay? You all right?
EyeSight with pre-collision braking, standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's carry-out insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
With bipolar I disorder, it can feel like there's too much to do. And you need to do it all. But mania, such as unusual changes in your mood, activity, or energy levels, can leave you on shaky ground. Help take control by asking your healthcare provider about Vraylar. Vraylar treats acute mania of bipolar I disorder. Vraylar significantly reduces overall manic symptoms and was proven in adults with mixed episodes who have both mania and depression. Vraylar should not be used in elderly patients with dementia due to increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. High cholesterol, weight gain, high blood sugar, and decreased white blood cells, both of which can be serious or fatal, dizziness upon standing, falls, seizures, impaired judgment, heat sensitivity, and trouble swallowing may occur. Ask your healthcare provider if Vraylar can help you find your balance.
This is 30 calories. This is 30 calories. This is not going to cut it. This will. V8. The V is for vegetables. Drink some.
Coors Light is cold packaged.
There's something cool happening at the Falcon Tavern. Owner Chris Wilson is using technology to spread the word. Mediacom Business Gigabit Speed Internet lets Chris live stream performances to attract customers to his venue. His tavern is becoming the place to go for people seeking terrific entertainment, along with great food and drink. He's booking new acts daily and posting updates online.
Another packed house.
Mediacom Business makes it easy for small business to do big things.
Menards is our go-to store when we update our house. We're adding new lights, and seeing all the latest styles in person at Menards was a huge help. The selection was amazing, and we found Patriot lighting fixtures for our whole house. We're so happy with the final touches that Patriot Lighting adds to our home. Enjoy exquisite elegance and superior craftsmanship with Patriot Lighting, available at Menards.
Get 11% off everything, including Patriot Lighting at Menards.
Limited time, choose a free Purple product with mattress purchase at purple.com/TV.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got a severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground. Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel. Currently in our area, 85 degrees under partly cloudy skies. Today, a mix of clouds and sun. High 91, winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 70. Winds south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, partly cloudy, high 88. Winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
And good morning, everybody. Again, our continuing coverage of Hurricane Barry. Yeah, it's a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane now from downtown New Orleans here, right on Bourbon Street, which is, I think, probably a little below average in terms of the action. But they are stocking up. They plan on opening business as usual. And so far, so good. But we do expect some of the worst impacts to come in tonight and potentially even for a good part of the day tomorrow. So a lot of you will follow suit in that. Before the break, we were talking to Dr. Tracy Fanara, a.k.a. Inspector Planet, about the dead zone that happens with fresh water coming out of the Gulf of Mexico, which has salinity, or it's a saltwater body of water. And will Barry mix that out a little bit? Dr. Fanara, thanks for hanging with us. We appreciate that. So let's take, you said it may briefly mix it out. Is that something we've seen in past cases with other hurricanes here?
It is. We saw that with Hurricane Dolly. We even saw that with Katrina, of course. But even that Category 5 hurricane, 2 weeks later, scientists went out and found hypoxia again. So it's very likely to return. It's just that prediction that might change.
So it mixes it out, but then the fresh water that comes from the storm, once it gets inland, comes back out and basically reestablishes itself. Right?
You're exactly right. So exactly how this happened in the first place was all that rainfall, and now we're bringing a new surface water runoff that is going to repeat that same action.
Inspector Planet, Dr. Tracy Fanara, thank you for adding insight to that. I thought maybe we'd get a little bonus, frankly, from what could happen here, okay? But no, as you just heard about from Dr. Fanara, that's not the case. Great follow, by the way, on Instagram, Dr. Tracy Fanara. Let's talk about, we got some new video in, Lisa. Where am I going here again with this new video? I want to tell everybody where we're going because we're constantly getting new stuff in to us here this morning at the Weather Channel. And we've seen some wind damage, we've seen some heavy rain, some flooding, some overwash as well. This is a deputy injured by a crashing wave. Wow! You see that? Holy smoke. People underestimate the power of water, okay? So driving through this, no matter how, I mean, look at that. Just absolutely smashed his face as a result of, the wave potentially hitting. It looked like he was in the boat there. Yeah, watch this. I got to see this one more time. Anyway, our best wishes going out to him because, guys, those are your first responders out there. When you haven't evacuated, all right, you find yourself in harm's way, who comes out in the nasty weather to get you? Those guys. So don't forget about that. Our men and women in uniform. All right? All right, let's go to Patterson, Louisiana here, certainly dealing with some adverse effects. Now, that, by the way, was Okaloosa County. That was all the way. People don't realize that's Destin, Florida. That's nowhere near the center. They're in the sunshine, for goodness sake. And they've had some rain. It's the onshore flow that's causing the water to build up like that. But here's some damage here. Some new video in, and you can see Patterson, Louisiana. Looks like at least some kind of wall there or building that was kind of pushed over, some trees down, cosmetic damage here mostly. But as we've been telling you about, when these rain bands come in, they're going to allow the stronger wind energy from the hurricane to come down from aloft. We see this all the time. As a matter of fact, even this morning, well away from the center, we had winds 40, 50 miles per hour in Mobile Bay with that heavier rain. And that'll continue to be the case as this storm comes ashore. All right, Dr. Greg Postel. Greg, where is the center of this thing, for goodness sake? Where the heck is it?
Very close to the coast, let's put it that way, but far removed from the center is where all the bad weather is. Let's have a look at the satellite pictures. And you can see a lot of those enhanced satellite tops right in here. A lot of bad thunderstorms south of the center, which is presumably somewhere about there. And also, perhaps surprisingly, there is a lot of bad weather here, 250 miles away from the center. You were mentioning Destin, Florida, where you had that wave action coming on shore. Look at all the heavy rain out here coming on board into Mississippi and Alabama, where we've seen in some places well over 3 inches of rain since midnight. More rain to come. The wind obviously not such a significant factor here, but there's a lot of rain, and it's going to be raining all day, and flooding is a real potential there. Farther to the west over southeastern Louisiana, we've got a lot of rain yet to come. Even if it's not raining where you are, it's going to, and the wind is going to pick up. You could see some of the winds right now, sustained at 25, gusts to 48 at Houma, Louisiana, New Orleans, 15 to gusts to 26. Those winds will increase and lead to some power outages and downed trees because eventually we expect some of the stronger winds later tonight and tomorrow to come on board with perhaps some wind gusts of over 55 miles per hour in some of those areas shaded in orange in south central Louisiana, and surrounding that, some weaker winds, but maybe wind gusts over 40 creeping into southern Arkansas and western Mississippi. So it is still a wind event we have to contend with, but by far and away, it is the heavy rain that is going to be the big problem. Look at this forecast shown by one of the models, showing you how we continue late tonight and tomorrow with a lot of rain coming in. So you can tell that long after Barry will have made landfall, then the heavy rain for Louisiana comes in and areas nearby in Mississippi. And that will continue through the overnight tonight to tomorrow and through much of the day tomorrow and maybe even into Monday. Here's an estimate of how much rain is yet to come. We're talking it's going to be measured in feet when it's all said and done, not just inches. And I might add, Then it doesn't stop in Louisiana, Mississippi. It goes into parts of the Tennessee Valley early next week with a flood risk there. Stay tuned for continuing coverage on Hurricane Barry.
Capital One knows life doesn't update you about your credit card. So meet Eno, the Capital One assistant that catches things that might look wrong and helps you fix them. Another way Capital One is watching out for your money when you're not. What's in your wallet?
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I am a country girl, so that's what we do. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for. People may not remember what you say, but they always remember how you make them feel. My name is Lola, and I am proud to keep your car running newer, longer.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
When you start with a better hot dog from Oscar Mayer,
That's no way to treat a dog.
you can do no wrong.
Where did you learn that? The internet.
Yeah.
With no artificial preservatives or added nitrates or nitrites, it's all for the love of hot dogs.
Parodontax Complete Protection. If you see traces of blood when you brush or floss, which kind of toothpaste do you choose? One for healthy gums or one for strong teeth? You don't have to choose. Complete Protection from Parodontax has 8 designed benefits for healthy gums and strong teeth. Take control and leave bleeding gums behind with Complete Protection from Parodontax.
What's the secret to natural bliss? We choose perfect, simple ingredients. Farm fresh milk and cream, pure cane sugar, and Madagascar vanilla. That's one tasty secret. 100% natural bliss, 100% of the time.
And a good morning, everyone in the central United States. Good afternoon to those of you in the east. Noontime there, 11 Central, as we watch now Hurricane Barry making its way again slowly but surely toward the Louisiana coastline. Will we have a landfall later on this afternoon? Will it be this evening? It doesn't matter. We're going to have a lot more impacts once the system gets to land. We've already had impacts in a lot of areas. You can see how high the water is, especially over southern Louisiana, over Mississippi, over Alabama, even in the Florida Panhandle. We've got huge waves over through the beautiful, beautiful beaches of Destin and Sandestin. So lots of action going on there. Justin Michaels as well is with us in Baton Rouge. He's been talking about the situation there and the fact that they expect that river to be in major flood stage, the Mississippi, right through August, which is unbelievable. What a year it's been as all that Midwestern flood has made its way south into the Gulf of Mexico. We just talked to Dr. Tracy Finnar about the dead zone. Barry does not mix that out. If it does, it's only temporary. We are on Bourbon Street, which is always alive and kicking. All right, maybe not as much this Saturday because of the fact that we had some cancellations. People just said, I don't want to really deal with the weather. I just wanted to come down here and have a good time. But I got to be honest with you. Today, it's nice because we have the cloud cover. We've had a rain shower or two in through here. But the heaviest and the worst weather could actually come for New Orleans maybe tonight and even tomorrow. So even though the storm's coming on shore, and I want to make this point for a lot of people, it's not over. As a matter of fact, it's just getting started. Right now, the radar presentation doesn't look great. I just asked Pocell where the heck the center was. You see little vortices kind of rotating around one main center. It looks terrible, but it's still a hurricane. and it still has the chance to do damaging wind. It still has the chance to produce tremendous amounts of rainfall. We've already had that off into parts of Alabama and even on the north side of Lake Pontchartrain. All right, let's get an idea of what we've got for you in terms of what we know so far, especially down toward Plaquemines Parish. We've seen some overwash on some of the earthen levees down there. We've had water rescues, if you will, in some cases. Highway 1 down toward Grand Island is now underwater. So those folks can't get in and out of that area. And as you can see, as of the 10 a.m. Central Day advisory, 75-mile-an-hour minimal Category 1 hurricane, the hurricane hunters that have been out there have found just enough wind to kind of kick it up a notch. Here's the deal. Not a big difference, meteorologically or otherwise, of a 70-mile-an-hour tropical storm or a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. It's really going to do the same thing. Focus on the impacts, the storm surge, the potential for inland flooding. Again, the cone drifts this to the north. I have a very good feeling that tomorrow or even some 27 to 30 hours from now, the center will show itself on a radar presentation. We will have all sorts of different radars to look at. Lake Charles, we'll look at Alexandria, we will look at Shreveport. I don't think it's going to be in Jackson's Range, Little Rock. We may actually see a circulation center show up very nicely, but it's the rain bands within that circulation center that we have to worry about and what they do. All right, let's get an idea how they're getting ready in Baton Rouge. Again, Justin, just like me down here on Bourbon Street and certainly in New Orleans, the worst of our weather may not get here to tonight. How are they preparing for Baton Rouge on what could be some overnight flooding?
Well, that's exactly right. And I'll tell you what, it's really interesting, Jim. I was talking with the fire chief and also deputy police chief earlier this morning. They have resources coming in, kind of mutual aid coming in from South Carolina and Texas. When the president declared the state of emergency here and offering that federal assistance, they were able to pool resources in from different states. So in Baton Rouge right now, not just Baton Rouge Swiftwater and Rescue, not just police, not just fire, not just EMS, but also different states are here helping this one city. And you have to believe that's the case, not just here, but in New Orleans, all across Louisiana, all across the Gulf Coast here in Louisiana because of this storm. 12 to 18 inches of rain is the forecast right now here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana. We are already seeing power outages. In fact, just shy of 14,000 customers are without power. Why is that? Well, the ground is so saturated that the winds that are coming in here right now are already knocking over trees, taking down branches, bringing down power lines. These things are already happening. So what do we have coming up? Well, that is anybody's guess, but the concern, and the great concern, is because of that 12 to 18-inch forecast, okay, and then the potential for maybe one of those really nasty tropical bands setting up right over Baton Rouge. Could we have even more than 12 or 18 inches? Could we get closer to 2 feet of rain? They know how to deal with that here because they had to deal with it back in 2016. They had 26 inches of rain over 48 hours. Could we see something like that? Because back then, flooding was rampant all across this community. People needed rescuing. People were having major problems back then. It was just about 6 weeks ago, back at the beginning of June, where somebody died in flash flooding here in Baton Rouge. They learned things from every kind of catastrophe like that, and they say they have gone into this hurricane with even better knowledge than they had before, because they're learning from every single type of flooding event that they have. So you can see, I'll tell you what, folks, it is not a lovely day in Baton Rouge, and it's only getting worse. When we stepped out here this morning, the roads were dry. There was virtually no wind. Kind of gusty, but not too bad. Now we're getting those tropical winds coming in. We're getting the rain that's continuing to fall, and the expectation is it's going to continue to do this through tonight into tomorrow. So what do we have to say to people? What are they saying to people? One, the best thing you can do is don't go out. And we're really seeing that. A few people are out, people are driving around, but for the majority of people, according to the deputy police chief, according to the fire chief, as they're driving around, they're not seeing people out. And that's a good thing. That means people are home, they're heeding the warnings, and they're doing what they can to stay safe. And Jim, as I send it back to you, actually we're going into Carl Parker. Carl, something else that they have done here, they've pre-positioned all sorts of different resources across this city as far as barricades, as far as swiftwater rescue teams already in place in the event that the flooding happens. And Carl, as we both know, the expectation is it's going to happen. It's only a matter of time. And Carl, I know you're continuing to track everything very, and do you?
Yeah, it looks pretty likely, as a matter of fact, because of the very slow forward speed. That's really the key to all of this. You don't have to have a really strong storm to produce tremendous amounts of rain if you've got an exceptionally slow forward speed, which we do have right now. So here is the latest on the storm from the Hurricane Center. It is a Category 1 hurricane, 75-mile-per-hour wind, moving northwest now at 6 miles per hour. So that's a very slight increase in forward speed relative to last night. You look at the satellite picture and you can see that very deep convection. The dark color there has gone away some, so we are seeing a little bit of a warming of the cloud tops. That's an encouraging sign, but the die has been cast here. There is a huge area of deep tropical moisture, which is now just lurking right offshore, starting to edge onshore into Mississippi and parts of southern Louisiana, and that's going to be going on for a while, along with the onslaught of wind here. Winds now gusting to 47 miles per hour in Baton Rouge and gusting to 46 in Houma. It's going to be like that through the rest of tonight and on into tomorrow as well. Now, this is one of our models here. This is doing a pretty good job of representing the storm, I believe. So let's take a look at how this happens through the next few hours. We go into 5 o'clock this afternoon. Notice the heavy rain there, especially west of New Orleans, towards Baton Rouge, towards Lafayette, towards Morgan City. Then I want you to watch over the next 12 hours. Over the next 12 hours, we continue to see that heavy rain in the same place, basically not moving because, again, of the slow forward speed of the storm. That is why this storm is so dangerous, because it's going to rain hour after hour after hour after hour. And also with that saturated ground and the wind, we're going to be looking at trees coming over and power outages. Then even into Sunday afternoon, we expect to see more rain, rainfall rates coming down. And then finally, that center begins to lift up and along the Mississippi River Valley. But we've got some additional rain coming in on Monday. So we're looking at an extreme threat for flooding in parts of south central Louisiana, southeastern Louisiana, and a major threat that does extend right over towards the New Orleans metro area. That really is our biggest concern with the storm. And let's get you up to date on what we know right now. Here's Mark with that.
All right, thanks, Carl. Well, Barry is now the first hurricane of the 2019 season and bearing down on the Gulf Coast, but it's already causing major problems. Here's what we know right now. More than 67,000 people are without power across Louisiana. The Mississippi River is now forecast to crest to 17 feet in New Orleans. While life-threatening flooding is possible, the risk for overtopping levees is minimal, and President Trump has approved a federal emergency declaration for Louisiana. And let's go over to Jim Cantore in New Orleans right now. Jim, wet streets, fairly calm at the moment, though. Here we go.
Yeah, but I guarantee that's going to change. You know, Bourbon Street's always hopping, especially on a Saturday. And, you know, this T-shirt that this young lady was wearing kind of caught my attention. I woke up like this, #Mary. So let's meet the Burkharts, okay? Was that planned, or is this just something that happened? Did Mary scare you guys into marriage, or what happened here?
No, we think love weathers any storm. So we had a wedding planned, and we said rain or shine, we're going to do it. And we even got to second line down Bourbon Street, so it was really fun.
Nice. Yeah. So you got married right behind us in the Royal Sonesta.
At the Royal Sonesta, and then we second line down to the Bourbon View for our reception.
So did anybody have any trouble getting in? Any relatives or friends?
Absolutely. There were some cancellations, but it just made it that much more special for everyone that did make it for us.
So how was it? I mean, give me a little blow-by-blow here.
It was awesome. It was everything we expected it to be.
So you're not concerned, even if it rains all weekend and it's cloudy. You guys are just gonna be here for the weekend, pretty much?
Right. Yeah.
Why would you leave? Right?
I know.
Yeah, now you are. You're right. Your plans have been canceled. Hey, listen. Congratulations.
Thank you.
Good luck to you. Thanks for talking to me.
Thanks.
This morning. All right. So she woke up because she planned on waking up married, not because she had to get married. I appreciate that. All right, Carl, I wanted to ask you something. Have the weather producer bring up the satellite in the radar, high-resolution radar of Lake Charles. I'm wondering, you know, we've been seeing over the last couple of days these smaller vortices kind of rotating around the main center, which is still somewhat offshore. Is the latest one that's moved now south and east of Lake Charles helping to cause that flare-up that we see near the Louisiana coast on the satellite?
Yeah, you know,
it
does look like that, Jim. And, you know, to me, it looks like the center is really close to being on shore at this time. So, yeah, you've got that banding feature that is coming in there right into the coast associated with what may very well be the center. But, you know, Jim, I wanted to talk to you a little bit about the flood threat there in New Orleans. And, you know, it's so interesting when you look back at what happened on Wednesday morning there in New Orleans. It's not that it was so much rain in total. That's not the issue, the total amount of rain, but rather it's the rainfall rates that cause problems there. I was sort of amazed to see the amount of flooding on Canal Street that resulted from just plain old thunderstorms.
It was Canal, it was Bourbon Street. For those of you that don't know, and we say this all the time on the Weather Channel, what happens here, because we're in a bowl, we're below sea level, you have to pump the water out of New Orleans. And the only way to do that is with a series of pumps and gates and things like that, move the water around. They can handle these pumps an inch an hour for the first hour. They can handle a ½ inch an hour for the preceding hours after that. All right? So in this case, we wound up, Carl, as you know, if it was 6 to 9 inches total, which is a lot. It could be more than what we wind up with Barry. But the fact that you had a couple of hours there where it was 3 inches an hour, and you had literally even here on Bourbon Street, we had water up to the doors and in some cases into some of the buildings. So that is another concern. What is the rainfall rate? And that's really the game in New Orleans. 2 days ago, when the river forecast on the Mississippi was 20 feet, you're playing with less than a foot on the top of the levee. So there's no way you're pumping that out in addition to rainfall coming in. So that was a huge concern for the city of New Orleans. They'd never seen that. The river's usually about 6 to 9 feet high this time of the year. It's not 16.5 feet, which is where it is now. So to see that river forecast come down, Carl, was like a sigh of relief for everybody. But we're not out of the woods because, as you know, a lot of the impacts are going to be after landfall. And once we get this asymmetrical, lopsided, east-southeast loaded system onshore, all of that comes north as well with the center.
Yeah, the slow forward speed is really the key to this. And I know there's been a lot of research in recent years, Jim, talking about a general decrease in forward speed of tropical cyclones, about 16% over the last couple of decades in North America in particular. And that really is the key to these incredible rainfall events. You look back at Harvey, Harvey in and of itself was not enough to cause the disaster that it did. It was the slow forward speed that really created that disaster.
And like Harvey, Barry is going to have its tentacles back over the Gulf of Mexico for a while.
Yes.
So it's going to keep feeding this system with the inland rain. So, yeah, coming inland is one thing when you can cut off the moisture supply totally. But Carl, we're not going to do that for a while because this is such a large circulation. The tentacles extend out later. And even when this thing is 100 miles inland, it'll still have those tentacles going out to the Gulf of Mexico.
Yeah, exactly right. We'll be looking at these bands that extend, you're exactly right about that, all the way down to the Gulf, even as the center of circulation is coming up and across the lower Mississippi Valley. And, we just hope, Jim, that people take this very, very seriously, even though it is, sort of a disorderly storm right now, still an enormous threat in terms of life-threatening flash flooding.
Carl, we'll talk, because I'm going to throw it to Justin now. When we come back, you and I get a chance to talk again about how amazing this was, to me anyway, to see the kind of shear we had so close to the center of this, but yet it still developed. The tenacity of this brought it up to a 50, 60, 70 mile per hour, and now a minimal hurricane at 75 miles per hour, even with the shear and the dry air. So we'll talk about that next go around, buddy. Thank you. Always appreciate the conversation. Let's go over to Justin Michaels, Baton Rouge, Louisiana. Justin, you and I talked earlier, and I want to bring up this again. The Mississippi River at Baton Rouge, it looks like it's been forever at major flood stage. And you were saying that you think past late August, we will be in major flood stage there.
Well, that's what people here are saying. That's what officials, that's what hydrologists we've spoken to with the city are saying. They have every expectation, even the state is saying that they have every expectation it's going to stay in major flood stage through the end of August. Going to get more storms through the end of August as well, so could it stay longer than that? We're going to have to find out. But that, of course, that being as high as it is really prohibiting drainage out into the Mississippi and other tributaries. So when flooding begins here, it's going to take longer for it to drain. The Weather Channel is back after this.
This has potassium. the same amount as this. It's a post-workout snack you don't have to peel. V8. The V is for vegetables. Drink some.
This is one of the most important days of my life, and you know who wasn't invited? Mosquitoes. That's why we've always had Orkin. Carl's so good. It's like he's never really left.
Ladies, I've got lavender and coconut.
Isn't he the cutest?
With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, we'll remake your order for free if anything happens to it on the way home, even if it's not your fault. Like if it's whoever that guy's chasing's fault. Or if it's man's best friend's fault. Or, even if it is, ultimately, your fault. Carry out Domino's large 3-topping pizzas for $7.99 each. With Domino's Carry-Out Insurance, just bring it back and we'll remake it for free.
Today's Best Western? What does that mean?
With rewards points that never expire, you get free nights fast. Now get a $20 Best Western gift card after your first stay. Book now at bestwestern.com.
Cheese's snacks are the most satisfying combination of crunch with cheese, with their delicious perfection.
Cheese!
It's not all about you, Cheese.
You think I have a mouth? I'm a wheel of cheese.
Got a point.
Yeah. Cheese it, cheesy, crunchy satisfaction.
Life doesn't give you many second chances. But a Subaru can.
You guys okay?
You all right?
Eyesight with pre-collision braking. Standard on the Subaru Ascent. Presenting the 3-row Subaru Ascent. Love is now bigger than ever.
How pure can pure be? Our 12-step process provides 100% pure quality water. Look for kids packs from Nestle Pure Life. Fun designs and a perfect size just for your kids.
With trusted protection for all-out confidence, Depend Silhouette Briefs feature maximum absorbency, beautiful.
Wildly adhesive Seaborne seals give denture wearers 75% stronger all-day hold. No reapplying before meals. Seabond, wildly adhesive.
Try Canada Dry ginger ale and lemonade. Are you ready to taste Nirvana?
Sir, you cannot be in the fountain.
I'm sorry, I can't hear you over the wonderful sounds of nature. Try Canada Dry ginger ale and lemonade. Now in diet.
Attention, this is a legal alert for anyone who has used Roundup Weed Killer and been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and have been diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. A multi-million-dollar verdict was recently awarded to a man whose non-Hodgkin's lymphoma was linked to Roundup Weed Killer. If you used Roundup Weed Killer and were diagnosed with non-Hodgkin's lymphoma, you may be entitled to significant compensation. Call now.
Beats her insurance price. Good for you, Kate. Good for you. GoodRx. Stop paying too much for your prescriptions. Download the free app today.
This is epic!
You're watching America's most trusted TV news network.
We've got severe weather threat.
We are live on the ground.
Right now, it's coming down.
The Weather Channel.
Currently in our area, 85 degrees under fair skies. Today, plenty of sunshine. High 91, winds east at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Tonight, mostly clear, low 70, winds south-southeast at 5 to 10 miles per hour. Sunday, intervals of clouds and sunshine. High 88, winds south-southwest at 10 to 15 miles per hour. Here's our 7-day outlook.
Hey, welcome back. Continuing coverage here of Hurricane Barry. Yeah, if you're just joining us a couple of hours ago, the Hurricane Center says we got enough evidence. Yeah, this could be 75 miles an hour, and it is. And they've upgraded it from the instruments on the Hurricane Hunter aircraft. And we're seeing some of this now showing up Bayou Vista, Louisiana. This, I believe, is down toward Morgan City. If I'm correct, Bayou Vista down toward Morgan City, is that right? Yeah. All right. Either way, it's southern Louisiana. I promise you that. We've had winds gusting 50, 60 miles per hour down in this region, and when you have a tree coming across the road, you got to cut it. It's the only way to clear the road situation in through here. Now, other roads have other problems, like down there in Lafourche Parish. We've got water, I believe, crossing over Highway 1. This is the only way in and out of Grand Island, and as a result of that, you're going to be stuck there for a while. And, you know, this is water that's been pushed up, risen, if you will, to a level where it's actually crossed the road. We talked to the police department down there earlier on. They said, yeah, so Grand Island's cut off now. No way to get down there, no way to get out of there. But they are prepared. They knew that was going to happen. They've seen it happen before. And certainly it's something that they're going to be dealing with a while, especially with the storm still coming ashore and the wind flow still pushing that water overhead. All right, I want to talk to Greg Michelle of the Mississippi Emergency Management, because this is not just a Louisiana hurricane. It is impacting areas all the way into the Florida Panhandle. Let's talk about and focus on Mississippi here as we come at you live from Bourbon Street in downtown New Orleans with a little bit of light rain. Greg, let's talk about this. We've seen a tremendous amount of rain and also wind continue to push that water on shore. Are there any problems? Are there any areas of overwash?
Jim, I'm sorry, can you say that again? Broke up just a little bit.
Greg, I'm sorry. Again, to talk to you again, are there areas, you know, we've seen onshore flow, we've seen heavy rain there this morning, as well as in the Mobile. Biloxi's getting heavy rain, Gulfport as well, Pascagoula. Is there enough wind, though, and water to overspread some of these coastal roads and coastal highways? How high is that water?
Yeah, we haven't seen anything as far as on the main egress highways. We just left Hancock County, and they've had a number of roads that went underwater last night and are still seeing a little bit of relief on that. You know, our big concern right now is the rain is going to move inland southwest Mississippi, because that's where the heavy rain bands, where the heavy rain is going to go. We've already got flooding up there that's been persisting since February, so that's where we're really focusing all of our efforts. Pretty much everything along the coast is mitigable. Really worried about what's going to happen in the next 24 hours up in southwest Mississippi.
Yeah, Greg, so you've got a combination here. What you've got is inland flooding in some cases because of the water that's coming out of the sky, but you've also got the storm surge. You've got the water that's being pushed up toward the coastline as well, right?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, we've seen as much as 4 or 5 foot, down around Hancock County, and of course they're accustomed to this, so it does cause them problems from their inland coastal flooding.
Are there areas that are closed off at this point?
Yeah, I just met with the emergency manager down in Hancock County, and he's had, like I say, approximately 200 roads county-wide that he has had to shut down because of this inland coastal flooding.
Wow, that's a lot. And, of course, we're going to be dealing with that for a while, as you know, with the onshore flow, with this large circulation. Thank you, Greg. We appreciate that. Again, word out of Mississippi, even though we're in Louisiana, or heavily loaded in Louisiana, this does not mean that other areas aren't impacted. And that's why a few years ago, when you saw the Hurricane Center implement storm surge watches and warnings, they extend far beyond the track of the hurricane. Because we know that, especially in the Gulf of Mexico, that water gets pushed north. It has no way to get out. All right? Let's bring in Carl Parker, talk a little bit about this rainfall. Carl, slow movement is one thing, but we know that, you know, especially with a persistent track or a northerly track, some of these rain bands can set up over some of the same areas, and they may exceed some of these rainfall forecasts.
Yeah, no doubt about that.
You have to watch that.
Right. You can see that very clearly when you look at some of the modeling here. In fact, we've got one of our high-resolution models to show you. And so taking this through the rest of this afternoon, there you see the heavy rain setting up near the core, but some banding that's well away from that into southern parts of Mississippi. Then watch as we go into the evening and then early Sunday morning. You see the whole thing, the whole shape, the structure has changed
very little in that time. So we're still getting these really hefty rainfall rates there in south central Louisiana near Baton Rouge and Lafayette and Morgan City. That's where we're going to be most concerned about flooding, maybe community-wide flooding in some areas. And then we're seeing going into Sunday afternoon, still plenty of showers and storms coming up and across the region, but it's beginning to thin out at that time. But this is what Jim's talking about. These bands that come in like that, those bands can set up and you can get training where storms are running over the same areas hour after hour after hour. So even as the center is coming up towards, say, Memphis, Tennessee, we still will be looking at a flood threat because of the persistence of those bands that drive through the afternoon. Now, I want to show you another model here. This is another of our high-resolution models. It's not showing quite as vigorous a start of rain there until we get into Sunday morning. That's when it really kicks in this model's estimation. So still some discrepancies there as regards the modeling. We can hope for that solution where we wouldn't see quite as much rain. But right now, what we're looking at is the potential for as much as 8 to 12 inches of rain around Lafayette and also around Baton Rouge. And there you see a live picture from Patterson, Louisiana. The rain coming down heavily. A lot more to go. We're going to talk much more about this on the other side of the break.
When I am helping a customer, I need to treat everybody the way I would want them to treat my family. I want them to know that I really want to help you. That's what I'm here for.
Fixed right, priced right, right on time. The triple promise, only at Firestone Complete Auto Care.
I'm Jimmy Dean, and I wish I could tell you how I feel about a morning like this. And that includes a good hearty breakfast. You need something to kind of warm the whole body up and get it going. It's a great way to kick off your day.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you'll earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just airline purchases. Think about all the double miles you could be earning.
Holy moly, that's a lot of miles!
Shh.
What's in your wallet?
That's Ensure Max Protein with high protein and 1 gram sugar.
It's a sit-up, banana. Bend at the waist.
I'm trying. Keep it up. You'll get there.
Whoa!
30 grams of protein and 1 gram of sugar. Ensure Max Protein.
So now, Dish has over 80,000 on-demand movies and shows. 80,000. Why? I mean, it would take you years to get through 80,000. Thing is, it's not about 80,000. It's about one. That one movie you saw that one time on a first date with that one girl. That's why.
Dish. Tuned in to you.
Every day, millions of people looking for healthy skin reach for Cetaphil, recommended by dermatologists. Awarded by Allure. And most of all, loved by skin. Cetaphil, the cleanser sensitive skin loves.
Well, it finally happened, Zachary. Somebody burned down my she shed.
Nobody burned down your she shed, Cheryl.
Well, my she shed's on fire.
Your she shed was struck by lightning.
Zachary, is my she shed covered by State Farm?
Your she shed's covered, Cheryl.
You hear that, Victor? I'm getting a new she shed.
She shear?
Mm-hmm.
That's wonderful news.
Home insurance trusted by more people than any other. State Farm.
I count on Blue Emu to give me relief for the arthritis in my hands. Forget the imitators. There's only one Blue Emu. Get American-made Blue Emu. It works fast and you won't stink.
When you start with a better hot dog from Oscar Mayer,
That's no way to treat a dog.
you can do no wrong.
Where did you learn that?
The internet. Yeah.
With no artificial preservatives or added nitrates or nitrites, it's all for the love of hot dogs.
Feed your imagination. Feed your excitement. Feed your hunger. When heroes get hungry, they get the $12 extra large superhero pizza at Papa John's.
I switched from Dodge.
We switched from Ford.
I switched from Ram. I switched to Chevy.
We switched to Chevy. We switched to Chevy.
For dependability.
For these guys.
And just look at it.
We switched to Chevy.
See for yourself why people are switching at the Chevy All-Star Open House.
Get 20% below MSRP on all 2019 Silverado double cab pickups. That's over $97.50 on this Silverado. Find new roads at your local Chevy dealer.
And we've already seen those winds gusting over 50 miles an hour.
The bad weather, the heavy rain, and the wind spread far and wide.
Bayou Vista is more like Lakeview.
All right, guys, again, you can see some of the issues that we've already had with Barry while it was a tropical storm, and now that it is a minimal hurricane at 75 miles per hour. It is lashed out. We've seen wind damage that has now produced power outages, according to my buddy Mike Macedo, who is a Skywarn spotter for the National Weather Service in Taunton. He sent me a text. He goes, Cantor, we had about 98,000 customers without power. And I think the main company is Entergy, if I'm not mistaken, and through here. So we do have, as of a couple of hours ago, a 75-mile-an-hour hurricane. Not a big difference, if you will, between a 70-mile tropical storm and a 75-mile hurricane. The impacts are going to be the same, and a lot of those are going to be after the storm comes ashore, which hasn't happened quite yet. All right, so how is the city of New Orleans faring? Well, no better person to talk to than the president of the city council, Helena Marino. Thank you for talking to me.
Yeah, no problem. Good to see you.
Yeah, it's good to be seen, I think. But in terms of what we got here, is this an average morning on Saturday for Bourbon Street, or
I'll tell you this. You know, we just finished one of our big EOC meetings, Emergency Operations Center meetings, and we did a big press briefing. And I think what was interesting to hear from the National Weather Service is that, you know, they're saying this is a really weird storm, right?
Oh, yeah.
It's moving so slowly, and a lot of the rain is in that southern portion, right, of the storm. So what we're continuing to tell the citizens of the city and the visitors of the city as well is to not let your guard down yet. We just don't know what's going to happen. You know, obviously we're hoping for the best, but I think it's best to continue to be prepared and be vigilant. I think right now people are kind of antsy, like, hey, nothing's really happened, right?
Right.
And so
and it's hard to be antsy in your room when you have this big party that goes on down Bourbon Street.
And then you're looking at the weather, and it's like not that bad, right? But look, just because we're not quite sure what this storm could bring, which is now a hurricane, just it's time to continue to be vigilant and to be prepared. But obviously, no need to panic or be you know, super alarmed, but just
So
steady
I
course.
know in your brief you've probably got some kind of a window. In other words, okay, this could be the worst time, maybe tonight through Sunday. I mean, what are you hearing from their end?
What we're hearing really from the Weather Service is that this evening it could potentially be somewhat problematic, but we just don't know how severe. Obviously, rain has been the biggest concern.
Yeah, so take us back to last Wednesday.
Sure.
When you had 3 inches an hour.
This. I mean, yeah, last Wednesday there were some areas where we had about 8 inches in 3 hours, so that is significant. And we had flooding in the downtown area, which is rare, which really created a big bottleneck, as you can imagine, throughout the city. And so then that drained. So obviously our ground is pretty saturated. So even just a little bit of rain could lead to some flash flooding through our area. So we're just recommending that folks, hey, this evening, stay inside just like you did last night. You know, hunker down, and we're just asking people to stay off the roads, not only for their safety, but also for first responders, because should something happen, they need to be able to get places. Yeah, right.
People can't get in, they can't get out either.
You got
That's an
So the other thing, too, is just a reminder that the airport, they've canceled all their flights.
So don't even go out there.
Right. You got it.
Okay.
You got it. Thanks, Jim. Appreciate it.
Helena, thank you very much. Again, the president of the City Council here in New Orleans, obviously briefed by the Weather Service, the Hurricane Center, telling everybody to remain vigilant. Tough to do, Carl, certainly in a party city like New Orleans and here on Bourbon Street. All right, Carl, anything that you're seeing on either satellite or radar presentation that leads you to believe something's changing?
Yeah, certainly, you know, the cloud tops are warming, so we're seeing a little bit less vigor in the convection right now. It looks like also in the visible, we've got a center that is perhaps onshore. It's getting very, very, very close. Let's take a look at the particulars on the storm, and this thing is moving so slowly, and as you just heard from the councilwoman there, that's part of the difficulty. It takes a long time for the weather to move in, so it creates the perception that maybe there's not going to be a storm after all. Right now, moving northwest at 6 miles per hour. hour, 75 mile per hour Category 1 hurricane. Let's take a look at the radar right now. We're watching a big mass of rain that is just offshore. It is poised to move in right now, and we're going to be watching that slowly over the course of the next several hours. A lot of heavy rain starting to stream in now into southern parts of Louisiana as well as into Mississippi. It's going to be a lot more of that. This is a model forecast. Let's take it out over 24 hours. I want you to pay attention to that area right there, west of New Orleans and into Lafayette and Baton Rouge. That area is likely going to be slammed by rain over the next 24 hours. So a lot of the worst has yet to occur. We're going to have much more on Barry on the other side of the break.
Now you can make any morning of the week feel like the weekend with Jimmy Dean Simple Scrambles, made fresh with 2 real eggs, sausage, and cheese, and ready in seconds.
Why don't you put a Sunday morning shine on tomorrow morning's breakfast?
With advanced automotive technology available on the Nissan Rogue, you'll be equipped to help protect the moments that matter most. This is tech that gives you confidence. This is Nissan Intelligent Mobility.
Not running! Why am I not running? Because the DQ Summer Blizzard menu is only here for a few more weeks. With 7 great flavors, like new Sour Patch Kids and Brownie Dough.
Not running!
DQ, happy tastes good.
To look at me now, you don't see psoriasis. You see clear skin.
You see me.
But if you saw me before Cosentyx,
I was covered. It was awful.
but I didn't give up. I kept fighting.
I got clear skin with Cosentyx.
3 years and counting. Clear skin can last.
See if Cosentyx could make a difference for you. Cosentyx is proven to help people with moderate to severe plaque psoriasis find clear skin that can last. Don't use if you're allergic to Cosentyx. Before starting Cosentyx, you should be checked for tuberculosis. An increased risk of infections and lowered ability to fight them may occur. Tell your doctor if you have an infection or symptoms, or if you've received a vaccine or plan to. If you have inflammatory bowel disease, tell your doctor if symptoms develop or worsen. Serious allergic reactions may occur.
See me now. I'm still clear.
How sexy are these elbows?
Get clear skin that can last. Ask your dermatologist about Cosentyx.
Hello?
Hello there. Almond Joy is tropicalling.
When you need a taste of vacation, pick up.
This is 30 calories. This is 30 calories. This is not going to cut it. This will. V8. The V is for vegetables. Drink some.
Sometimes, bipolar I disorder makes you feel like you can do it all. But mania, such as unusual changes in your mood, activity, or energy levels, can leave you on shaky ground. Help take control by asking your healthcare provider about Vraylar. Vraylar treats acute mania of bipolar I disorder. Vraylar significantly reduces overall manic symptoms and was proven in adults with mixed episodes who have both mania and depression. Vraylar should not be used in elderly patients with dementia due to increased risk of death or stroke. Call your doctor about fever, stiff muscles, or confusion, which may mean a life-threatening reaction, or uncontrollable muscle movements, which may be permanent. Side effects may not appear for several weeks. High cholesterol, weight gain, high blood sugar, and decreased white blood cells, both of which can be serious or fatal, dizziness upon standing, falls, seizures, impaired judgment, heat sensitivity, and trouble swallowing may occur. Ask if Vraylar can help you get on track.
All right, guys, good afternoon here from Bourbon Street. Of course, still waiting the landfall of Hurricane Barry, 75-mile hurricane just kind of inching its way north. Let's take you, though, out to Port Fourchon, and you can see what's happening. This is a south-central Louisiana, obviously on the water, and you can see how much how high we are here, looking at rain, wind-driven rain on this vessel here. I'll tell you right now, if I'm going to be anywhere, I'd rather be on the boat than on the land, because some of that water, unfortunately, with the wind blowing onshore, is being pushed onshore. And we've seen that down on Highway 1 near Grand Island. We've seen that on the Mississippi coast as well. You heard the emergency manager in Hancock County talk about 200 roads closed. I mean, that's incredible. So you got rain that's fallen inland. Okay, so freshwater flooding and also storm surge flooding that's going on. So, just because the storm is south of central Louisiana does not mean it's not a multi-state impact event. And that is why, we have these storm surge warnings that go in areas where we don't expect the center to be anywhere close to. It's because the water's being pushed up toward the coast, and it's rising as a result of that. All right, let's find out if and when we're going to see Hurricane Barry come ashore. I want to bring in the director of the Hurricane Center, Mr. Ken Graham. Ken, always a pleasure talking to you. I know you're busy as all get out. First of all, let's just talk about the complexities of this. We have something that never really had any super inner core. It's got a lot of circulations going around it. How doesn't that make for a difficult forecast?
Yeah, it really does, Jim. I mean, look at this. When we look at a textbook and you want to look up hurricane, it really doesn't look like this. I mean, we're usually looking at that eye. We're looking at all that precipitation around the center. I mean, there's not even precipitation around part of the center here, so it looks different. But I can tell you the winds are definitely there. So it's been a tricky forecast. Remember the origins. This came out of Georgia and came down as a trough of low pressure and formed. So it's been a tricky forecast the whole time. But as a result, I mean, look at the rainfall. We're starting to get some of those tropical rains in here. The rain bands have been just intense all morning.
And that's what we need to continue to focus on. I know you're a big proponent of messaging, proper messaging and tone. I know that's one of your big deals. So how do we get the message across that, look, when this thing comes ashore, many of you will start to experience the worst weather, even though the system itself may wind down?
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. I mean, you look at this. I mean, some areas are going to see the winds even without the rain. I mean, you're going to see hurricane-force winds in some of these areas. But I can tell you the rain bands, the messaging part of it, Jim, is so important. You and I have talked about it so many times. And for several days we've said, 100 miles away, 150 miles away, you can see some of these rain bands. And the rain over Mobile on the Mississippi coast hasn't moved at all morning, despite all those storms moving fast. So the big message here to tell people is, look, some areas haven't had the rain yet, but look at all the moisture in the Gulf of Mexico. All of that is still moving into Louisiana. So just because it hasn't rained yet doesn't mean it's not going to. So it's still going to get there. A lot of moisture to go. It's going to provide a lot of rain and some flooding.
Is there anything you see, Ken, that you know what we have to kind of that's come about recently? Oh wow, we should watch for this too. So any new potential pitfalls or surprises with Barry?
I think the biggest thing is seeing some of these winds are just part of it, but I think we have to have that conversation continually about those rain bands. I mean, you talk about being 150 miles away. Are you ready for that? Are you ready to have rainfall that could cause some flooding? I mean, I'm just watching this over the entire morning. I mean, how many times have we talked about the center, the track, but what about 100 miles away, 150 miles away? And by the way, this is something you and I have also talked about, Jim. It's not just on the coast. This is going to be slow moving. All that moisture is still going to go northward through Mississippi, Arkansas, Tennessee. So there's chances of flooding even that far north.
Absolutely. Something to watch for the next couple of days and potentially beyond. Director Ken Graham, thank you very much. Always a pleasure talking to you, sir. Let's get to the Louisiana governor on his press briefing right now.
Good afternoon, everybody, and thank you for being here. We just completed a meeting of the Unified Command Group, and I have earlier this morning personally spoken with just about every parish president along coastal Louisiana and a few of the sheriffs as well, and I've been in close contact with Lieutenant Governor Nungesser, who is down in Plaquemines Parish. Tony Robinson from FEMA, who is the administrator of Region 6, continues to be with us, and he's here today, and I want to thank him for that. And Congressman Graves was able to join us for the UCG meeting, and he's here with us, and I thank him as well. As you all know, Barry is now a hurricane. The guessing game is over. It made landfall as a hurricane with 75-mile-per-hour winds. It is easing onshore slowly at 6 miles per hour. That's one of the challenges with this storm. We would like for it to pick up pace a little bit, and so that it would move through the area a little quicker. It is expected to move up the center of the state, exit somewhere on the Louisiana-Arkansas border, and again, the quicker it could do that, the better. The track did shift slightly to the west. However, it is well within the cone that we were told to expect from the National Weather Service, and so there were no real surprises there. Rainfall remains the primary hazard. We are still looking at 10 to 15 inches of rain with the possibility of higher isolated amounts. As we all know, however, it doesn't take much saturation of the ground so that even slighter winds can have a devastating impact with respect to trees falling onto houses and highways and so forth, as well as utility poles. And so power outages will be significant, and in fact are already significant in some areas of the state. And while rainfall remains the number one threat, we're also experiencing storm surge flooding that will continue throughout the day. Tropical storm force winds will also likely impact much of the southern part of the state. In fact, if you look at it, they're going to extend from Cameron Parish in the west over to Lake Pontchartrain in the east, and now well north of Alexandria as the storm continues to move north. Anytime you have a storm like this, there is a possibility of tornadoes, and so we ask people to be very careful with that. We are keeping a close eye on the rivers across South Louisiana, all the way from the Mermentau in the west to the Tangipahoa River in the east, and actually even further than that. But with particular eyes upon the Comite and Amite rivers here in the capital region, based upon regional experience that we had in 2016, we do expect the Comite to crest very close to, if not slightly higher than, the crest in August of 2016. That is obviously not good news here. We expect the Amite to crest right around the crest of the 1983 flood levels. Now, that's a little better than in 2016, but still a very serious flood threat. Some good news is that the gauge at the Carrollton gauge, I should say, of the Mississippi River in New Orleans is now expected to crest at 17.1 feet. As you know, as of yesterday, we were expecting that crest to be 19 feet. Even at 19 feet, we didn't anticipate river overtopping the levees anywhere. We can say now that the rivers will certainly not overtop the levee anywhere on the Mississippi. The U.S. Coast Guard did rescue 11 people from their flooded homes in Ile de Jean Charles this morning in the lower portion of Terrebonne Parish. That area is outside the hurricane protection system of Terrebonne and was under a voluntary evacuation order. And I want to pause to thank the Coast Guard for doing that. Incredibly important that those services were available. And they have the expertise and the equipment to be able to make those rescues, even by air, during the period of the storm when most other air assets are not able to fly. And so that's another federal resource that has been brought to bear here in the state of Louisiana to protect life, and that's critically important. I do want to clear up a little misinformation that's been going around. The overtopping that has occurred in Plaquemines Parish is not the Mississippi River levee. It is a back levee in the vicinity of Myrtle Grove, and it points further south. At this point, Highway 23 in Plaquemines Parish has not been overtopped. It has not been closed, but that is certainly possible going forward. And this validates, I believe, the decision that President Kirk Lapine made to have a mandatory evacuation in the lower portion of Plaquemines Parish. We actually anticipated that the back levee would be overtopped, and so we are not surprised by what has happened. But what everyone should understand, no Mississippi River levee has been overtopped, and not a single levee in the state of Louisiana as of right now has failed or breached. Finally, I want to share with everyone that if you are in need of a shelter, you can text LA Shelter to 898-211, or you can call 211 to find the list of shelters that are open in your area. Again, text LA Shelter, that's all one word, LA Shelter, to 898-211 or call 211. I also want to caution everybody, this is just the beginning. I ask everyone to stay vigilant and be safe. This has always been projected to be a rain flood event, and it will be. The vast majority of the rain that's falling right now is falling in the Gulf. That will soon change as the storm continues to move north. We have planned, we have prepared, we have stationed folks. We've activated 3,000 members of the National Guard. We have pre-positioned assets, including buses and pumps. Shelters are open, and more are opening around the state. We need you to continue to stay in touch with the news sources. Heed the advice of local elected officials. Do not attempt to go sightseeing. That is very dangerous for you, but the real problem with that is you make it much more likely if you venture out too soon, and when it's not necessary for you to do so, our emergency response people are going to have to be trying to rescue those sightseers and not be able to focus solely on those individuals who need rescuing because of the flood. And so be patient. If you are driving and you don't know for an absolute fact that standing water is safe to proceed through, don't do it. Turn around and go back. That is the source of most fatalities in floods, at least here in Louisiana over the last several years. The other problem with that is often there is a current, and it's imperceptible in many cases, and it doesn't take much current to wash a car or a truck off the road or highway into a ditch or a stream, and individuals drown. You can find real-time information on all roadways in the state by visiting 511la.org. It will indicate whether the road is under construction, whether there is water over the road, whether the road has been closed. Be patient as it relates to cleanup activities too. Don't get out before it is safe to do so. And when you get out to clean up, understand that any wire on the ground should be presumed to be energized. Do not handle or expose yourself to the danger of any electricity lines. So it's going to be a long several days for our state. I know the people of Louisiana are strong and resilient, and I can assure you we are going to get through this, but there are going to be some significant challenges. The next UCG meeting is scheduled for 4 p.m. tomorrow. However, we may, and I suspect we likely will have another press availability before that UCG meeting is over. I expect there may be another one tonight with information that we continue to learn, both as it relates to the storm and to the damage that we're seeing across the state of Louisiana. And I would invite everyone to continue to put themselves and their families in a better position to withstand the remaining portions of this storm as it plays out over the next few days, and to continue to join their prayers to mine for our state. Now, at this time, I'm going to be followed with more specific information from the following individuals and in this order. CPRA Chairman Chip Klein will be followed by Secretary Sean Wilson of DOTD. Secretary Marquita Walters of DCFS will next brief on the status of shelters. She'll be followed by Secretary Gee of the Department of Health. General Curtis of the National Guard will speak after Secretary Gee, and then Congressman Garrett Graves will speak after General Curtis. The other individuals who are here do not anticipate speaking. However, we will all be available to answer questions that you may have once the comments are delivered and Congressman Graves concludes his remarks. So at this point, if you'll come on up, Chip.
All right, that was Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards giving a synopsis or summary of preparations and ongoing efforts to combat Tropical Storm, or now Tropical Storm Barry. Welcome into the city of Baton Rouge, Louisiana. I'm meteorologist Tabitha Wooten joining you here, and just around the hour, right around 1 o'clock, we now know Tropical Storm Barry has made landfall near the Vermilion Bay and Intracoastal City, Louisiana. This is just coming in from the National Hurricane Center. They do have winds now with Barry at 70 miles an hour. So though we've seen a downgrade in nomenclature or classification, the high threat does still remain of significant flash flooding and flooding to inland flooding as well. Louisiana Governor John Bel Edwards also speaking to that, saying that you cannot let your guard down with this system coming in, no matter what the name of it is or no matter what the classification of this storm is. Flooding will be impactful here across the state of Louisiana. They're expecting significant challenges for the next few days to come. Here in Baton Rouge, Louisiana, we've already had winds at 40 miles an hour, wind gusts at 40 miles an hour, and at the stadium, 60-mile-an-hour winds. Of course, that's higher up, and the higher you go in the atmosphere, typically your winds do increase with height. But back down towards the surface, plenty of rainfall. It almost feels like at times you step into a car wash with so much rain coming through, winds going back and forth every which way as Barry continues to move inland now and bring a significant rainfall threat and flash flood threat. This is not the only spot that will see flash flooding here. We do know there is a flash flood warning in effect right now, or a flood warning in effect right now, that will likely be expanded in the hours to come. The forecast, some 9 to 12 inches of rain in the next few hours here. Of course, we are just getting started with Tropical Storm Barry. Much more coverage continues after this break.
With the Capital One Venture Card, you'll earn unlimited double miles on every purchase every day, not just airline purchases. Think about all the double miles you could be earning.
Holy moly, that's a lot of miles! Shh.
What's in your wallet?
Parodontax Complete Protection. If you see traces of blood when you brush or floss, which kind of toothpaste do you choose? One for healthy gums or one for strong teeth? You don't have to choose. Complete Protection from Parodontax has 8 designs.